Peel 0, St Mary's 3. Jack McVeigh scored from a free kick after 29 minutes to give St Mary's the lead. Frank Jones run through after Peel's defensive error for the second on 72 minutes. And Craig Murphy put the third into the corner on 92. So 3-0 it was. Comfortable victory for St Mary's. The thing was, St Mary's reduced to 10 players on 55 minutes. James Murphy it was who got the red card after an incident with Daniel Lace, and no problem about it. Referee gave him a straight red. And the report was heavy rain, strong winds, because it's a mean place to play football when it's windy down at Douglas Road. And the point that Colin's making is the better side won. So there you have it, St Mary's through to the semi-finals, which will hopefully, we're planning to play on the 11th of May.
We've just had a text in actually saying an excellent job from St Mary's today. Peel players more interested in trying to ref the game. That sounds a bit of controversy. It's
funny that, Sean, because St Mary's have a habit of doing that, and I think they've quieted it down a little bit. But the report I did have in was that Peel was sort of concentrating on trying to maybe get into the referee or whatever, and maybe use too much energy that way instead of concentrating on the job in hand, which was trying to dispose of St Mary's. But it's a great result for them. You know, Jack McVeigh with that free kick, he's got a lethal left foot on him. But the turning point was that sending off, and you just thought at 1-0 that Peel would get back into it. But St Mary's had a plan, they sorted it out, they got it right, and once that second one went in for Frank, it was just Peel who were trying to chase the game, and it didn't happen for them. And St Mary's deservedly go through into that semi-final draw. But with the other 3 games being postponed, we'll have to wait a week before we do that draw.
Well, it is obviously difficult to say with the rest of the semi-final lineup still to be finalised. But can you see St Mary's going all the way in this competition now?
Well, when you look at the other games, Ramsey against Douglas High School Old Boys, that's going to be a close encounter, and it's going to be the game on the or the team who play best in that game on the day. But Old Boys have to start off as slight favourites in that one. Moran against Foxdale, I think, is a little bit closer, but I'm still going to edge it towards the Premiership side in Moran. And Douglas Athletic against St George's, even though they met each other, I think it was in this competition either last year or the year before, it was pretty even up to 90 minutes, but in extra time, St George's just ran away with it. So if you're going to ask me to pick a 4, I'd probably go for St Mary's, Old Boys, just Moran, and St George's. But anything can happen in football, as we've seen recently, where Corinthians beat Peel in the Canada Life Premier League 3-0. Then the following week they met each other and Peel beat Corinthians 3-0. And then when you look at the Cup game last week where Peel won 3-1, and here we are, St Mary's down to 10 players, and they've won the game 3-0. So it just shows you how turbulent football can be.
What's the plan now for rescheduling those semi-finals?
Right, I've had a quick chat with powers to be, and what we're going to try and do is next week will be the 3 remaining quarter-finals. So Ramsey, Old Boys, Moran, Foxdale, Douglas Athletic, St George's will get those on. The following week, which is the 11th, I believe, of May, I'm doing this on the hoof, is the Junior Cup final. Rules are in Manx football that we can't play other football when there's a final on. So what we're going to do is, the final's due to kick off at 2, so we're going to put the semi-finals of the Keystone Law Hospital Cup finals on 5 o'clock kick-off on the 11th. I know there'll be a couple of football club dinners kicking around then, but the game should hopefully be finished 7:30. Quick shower, change, and then they can go to the dinners, because it's the following Friday, which I think is the 17th, is going to be the Hospital Cup final, so we need to get it out of the way.
Well, hopefully plenty of good weather between now and then to let us catch up, hopefully. Another text in about that match. Don't forget, Peel was short 4 top players, and Frank Jones tried to ref the game, not Peel. So certainly sounds like the fans' contrasting opinions, shall we say.
Everyone's got different viewpoints, and they're saying, top players missing. So what? You've still lost the game. St Mary's have won it. St Mary's were down to 10, so it equals it all out. But this is what you want. Fans will go for their side. The fans will go against the other. But the person I was talking to today, where Peel sort of maybe crossed the line a little bit, was a neutral. And, that's the way it goes, but it's all opinions.
Well, we'll have a look at the one remaining match in JCK Division 2, which was Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys up against Colby, their final match of the league season, and the 2-1 win, that puts them back to the top of the table. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, they're going to have to wait to see, though, if that's enough.
Well, they are. They're going to have to sit there and be patient, and it could be a bit of a wait before the Paul Henry semi-finals because they'll be in that one. But they were 2-0 up. I don't know if we got the goal scorers phone through. I didn't receive them. But it was 2-0 to Ramsey Youth Centre at one stage. Colby pulled one back, and it was a really tight game by the sound towards the end of the game. But the important thing for Ramsey Youth Centre is those 3 points. And now they could just watch Pulley, Foxdale, Maloo and everyone else battle it out to try and get those two valuable positions to get themselves into the Canada Life Premier League next season.
Yeah, and we did get the goal scorers. It was Daniel Sherry and Stephen Gross for Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys and Andy Baker with the goal for Colby.
Well done.
Paul Rose, they do have a stronger goal difference. Even though you three have got the points on the board, would Paul Rose be the favourites for you?
Yes and no. I think Paul Rose a couple of weeks were yes, and then they sort of struggled in a couple of fixtures, and the one against Ayr, I just thought to myself, well, what's going on here? But they've bounced back. What's key to it is that game against Maloo. I think that's going to be winner takes all on that one. But, Ramsey now, Sean, I'm looking at, I've got a big problem because they've got a quarter-final next week in the Cup. They've still got possibly Paul Henry semi-final to play, possibly a Paul Henry final to play. They could have a semi-final of the Hospital Cup to play and a final of the Hospital Cup and rearrange league fixtures. So, Ramsey have still got an awful lot of fixtures to play, and I just hope the players can take it in the Cal Cup in a short space of time.
Quick question from a listener. When will the Masters FA Cup be played?
Well, now we're looking at games tomorrow. The Masters, there's one prelim round to play, and then there's 4 first round games. The problem's been is because the Junior Cup is played on a Sunday, which is tomorrow, people like Corinthians, Douglas and District, you've got Douglas High School Old Boys, because they can dual register. That's the reason why we couldn't get the Masters games on. But I'm hoping next Sunday that certainly we can get some on and maybe try and slip one in midweek because Masters don't have extra time and penalties.
We did chat a little about this earlier, but for those who weren't with us, Division 2, brilliant this year, really, isn't it? It's in such a close contest, difficult to predict as well.
It's been amazing. And when you look at it, Sean, we're sort of 2 fixtures away from being completed in the Premier League and in Division 2. It's been unheard of this for a long, long time. It's been such a close battle. St Mary's only won Comby 1 last week. Onken won Comby 2 a couple of weeks ago. It's been a real close league right the way through, and it's great to see. And, the carrot for these Division 2 sides is to play in this top flight, and that's what they want. They don't want to play in Division 2. They want to play against the best players in the Isle of Man. And we've already seen in some of the cup competitions this year where the top Division 2 sides are playing against mid-table Premier League sides. It's been very, very close. Really, really nice to see. There's been some great games, and fingers crossed that we get a full programme on tomorrow.
Well, talking about that full programme tomorrow, it is the Junior Cup quarter-final. You've given us some fixtures here. St George's versus Onken, top of the shop there. What do you make of those? Yeah,
well, Onken are champions of Comby 2, and a nucleus of that team will be playing tomorrow afternoon. St George's, to me, are slight favourites, I think, in this competition with St Mary's. But there are some other good sides in there as well, Old Boys and Corinthians. But tomorrow, if I had to put some money on it, I would say that St George's will beat Onken. But fingers crossed, the weather stays okay. The pitches will recover very, very quickly because this rain will soak through very fast, and hopefully we'll get a full programme on.
And Laxey versus Union Mills, is that?
Union Mills fancy the chances in this game. I know they do. Laxey, a very young team. Union Mills, I think they'll find out that the combination one side will be a little bit too strong for them, but I think Stephen Fox has troops there because he's been involved coaching them and getting them ready. All fancy their chances, and they've scored a few goals in this competition so far, but I'm going to go for Laxey to win.
And then St Mary's and Douglas High School Old Boys, who comes out on top there.
Yeah, we've not made it easy with the draws, to be fair, for St Mary's, because they had Peel in the first one, who were the second team in the league, and you've got Old Boys in there as well, top flight. Old Boys have got a few of their first team qualified, which is total legal. There's no problem there. St Mary's have got a strong young team. St Mary's have already bagged the Canada Life Combination 1 trophy, so they'll be looking to beat Old Boys. But Old Boys always seem to come up trumps in this competition and get very close to the final. So if they won this one through the semis, but I think St Mary's will take it.
And then bottom of the list there, I've got to be honest, I'm struggling with your handwriting
Douglas
on
and
that
District.
one. That's the one against Corinthians.
Yeah, Corinthians playing against D&D. A bit of banter during the week from the D&D boys that they're going to take Corinthians in this one. We'll wait and see. Corinthians finished third, I think it is, in the Combi 1. D&D have had a great season in combination too. A lot of experienced players there against a very young Corinthians side. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes at that pitch. It's just below the grandstand, just by the church there. Tight old pitch. It won't probably suit Corinthians the way they play, but I think Blaine Slattery's team that he's got out tomorrow should be strong enough to win it. Ian Drake has been terrific in front of goal. Chrissy Cannell's qualified as well, so they're strong right the way through. I've got to go for Corinthians just to win it.
And as we are a little light on fixtures to talk about from today, we will look ahead as well to some of the matches coming up early next week. Paul Rose, they're going to be back in action on Wednesday against Foxdale. Who do you see winning that one?
Well, Foxdale's pitch, Billy Goat we call it, because when it rains, it struggles a little bit now. How that will recover after yesterday and today's rain, we'll wait and see. But Paul Rose, I think, will just have the edge. But Foxdale, again, are an awkward side. And if Foxdale, with good support, that might just be the extra person that they need to push them on. And I can see that being a right ding-dong game, but I think Paul Rose will take the points.
Ramsey versus Ayr also on Wednesday. Who do you see taking the spoils there?
Well, it's a Northern Derby and nothing for the faint-hearted in that one. Ayr United's results of late have been fantastic. Ramsey are right in there. This is a massive, massive game for Ramsey, and Ayr would love to take it away from him. Can Ayr do it? I'm not so sure. I think Ramsey is just a little bit too strong. They didn't play well in the Woods Cup final, but hopefully they can get it right in this one. Keep the challenge on and see if they can get themselves back into the top flight.
There are a few games in the Canada Life Premier League as well on Tuesday, including the all-important match between St Mary's and Douglas Athletic. St Mary's can wrap the title up at that one, I believe.
They can. It's at Athletic, and they just need the 1 point. It's set up to present the award. If it happens, St Mary's would like it done there, because it's catching that moment, isn't it? Any sports person, you play in a game and you win the game, even though it's a league, you want the trophy to be presented then, because they can't take it away from you. And St Mary's would like it done. I thought they might have gone for the home game at the Bowl, but they haven't. And let's just see if they can do it. I think it's an amazing turnaround because they've proved everyone wrong this year. No one fancied them to win it. I know they signed some superstars at the start of the season, but the rest of the sides I thought was still strong enough to take that league trophy, but it hasn't happened. St Mary's have put it together. They played really well, and they've showed it today. They had a problem last Saturday. They couldn't lift the cup, the FA Cup, but today they've got it right, and they're back in it with the Hospital Cup.
Peel versus St George's as well. That should be another cracker.
It is, and Peel have just got to look at today's result, put it behind them. Sean Kelly, I think, will still be suspended. I don't know who was missing today for them as well, but against St George's, it's been a transition season for them. Chris Bass has done a wonderful job with some of the young lads coming through. When you look at Sean Quaid, Johnny Myers, Sam Kane must be close to coming back. Kieran McNulty was on the team sheet last time out, so it's nice to see Becca playing. Callum Morrissey as well has been putting the boots back on. Joey Morlin, I think, is fit. So I think St George's are going to be quite strong on Tuesday, and I wouldn't be surprised if St George's don't take all the points. I think today's been a bit of a blow for Peel when they lost that game against St Mary's.
And then the last one of the Premier League games, Douglas High School Old Boys versus Corinthians.
I've got to go for Corinthians, but it's quite a habit of Old Boys taking the points away from Corinthians. I think Corinthians just beat Old Boys last year 1-0, and Old Boys beat them at Bella Fletcher 2-0. So it'll be a close battle. It's the final game of the season for Corinthians, so I think it'll be a game that they want to win. There's one or two players who were terrific on Wednesday for the Allen team. Dan Simpson's goal was a wonder goal, and he'll want to finish off on a good note for this year and then concentrate on Innismore. Sorry to say it, Old Boys, but I just hope that the Whites take the points, but close game would be nice.